Okay, so today we are going to cover the in and out of the databases. Okay, and what exactly is SQL and what all cases we go to the NoSQL databases. What all we'll cover all those things. Okay, but before that, let's start with a quote. Okay, what exactly is the problem in the system design? So the problem is not in designing the system upfront. The problem is when you don't realize the future use cases and you don't realize the future progress or the future requirement, and ultimately when you need to shift the design, that actually results in a problem. Okay, and that's the time when the bottleneck get created in your system. Okay, so now let's talk about the old days. Okay, the files were getting stored on, let's suppose, the files. Okay, and after that someone invented a cool technology called the DBMS, right? Database management system. Okay, and from there the introduction or the relational database management system. Okay, so where the data is stored in a tabular format. Okay, all the data have some same properties and you store that data. So it was working perfectly fine. Okay, so like you have some student record. Okay, and you were having some ID, name, and let's suppose roll number, and let's suppose some XYZ field. Okay, now this was working fine, but suddenly you realize, hey, I want to store the address of these student as well, right? There can be cases where now you want the address of the student as well. So probably you can add the address here as one of the keys. Okay, or probably you can separate the address in a different table, and here you can keep a address ID. Okay, and one of the fields from the student ID. Okay, and the address property like the first row of the address, second row of the address, pin code, city, and whatever things, right? So you have decided to introduce a new table called address. Now, as the requirement grew up, probably you needed to have some kind of information related to what all subject a student is enrolled in, right? So for that, you have created a subject table, user subject table, where you are having a subject ID and the user ID. Okay, and now as these requirements were growing up, you kept on increasing the table day by day, right? And this was the schema proposed by relational databases, because this represent the relations between the tables, right? A student table is related to the address table, a student table is related to the probably the marks table or the subject table, right? And there are multiple relationship, one to many, one to one, and different kind of relationship. So this was working perfectly fine. Okay, now, so earlier we were relying on a small data set, right? Probably 1 GB, 10 GB, 100 GB kind of a thing, right? But as the requirements kept on growing, as your company kept on growing, the data size reached to probably a TB kind of a thing, right? And now suddenly it resulted in a bottleneck. So we'll talk about how that bottleneck happened. Okay, so can someone quickly tell me what kind of queries that SQL data structure support, SQL databases support, or the RDMS one? What kind of queries they support? Anyone?
Select, update,
Select, update,
delete,
delete,
Create, alter,
create, alter. Okay, and any
drop also.
which one?
Drop.
dropping table.
So these are for the dropping tables and all. So these are probably not used frequently because you don't often drop the table. But okay. And on the analysis perspective, analytics, you do this, right? Max. You find out the max, right? In the query. In the select only, you have some queries based upon this range, right? Max.
Yes, yes.
You have some range queries, right? So give me the list of a student whose marks in physics is between 50 to 100, right? This type of queries you used to support, right? Now, As these type of,
Oh,
yeah, good.
one more count also.
Yeah, count also. Right, probably give me the student count, whoever are enrolled in the physics subject, right? So this can be probably one of the access pattern.
And
So
and L-tree queries also, like JSON.
which one? Can you come again?
L-tree queries, like if you are having JSON B type of column in your table.
Okay. Can you give me example of the access pattern for that? Like probably the count can be read all the student who have this physics, who are enrolled in this physics subject. Can you give me example for this?
Like not exactly count. The JSON B is like a type of the tables column, so you can select that column. So there are actually different type of query build for that
Okay.
column
Okay.
only.
Okay.
Hmm.
Good. So probably I'm not exactly aware of that particular structure, how that works in the SQL. Okay. So overall, these were types of the queries that were supported with the SQL, and it was working pretty well when the data size was less than, let's suppose, 10 GB or something like that. Okay. The results were coming up in a single digit millisecond and sometimes even in microseconds, right? It was working perfectly fine. Now, as the data size grew up, right, you need to do two things, right? First, you need to scale. That is the hard and fast requirement of any of the system that we are studying, right? We need to scale that system. So now as the data size will grow up, you need to scale that particular relational database system, right? Or the SQL database system. Now, how we will scale this particular table? Whether we, what all two types of scaling that we have studied? Vertical and
Vertical,
horizontal.
Vertical.
Correct.
vertical and horizontal.
Vertical and horizontal. Okay. Horizontal scale. Okay. Now, let's take the example. The relational databases will be scaled, and people often use this word, right? Relational databases are available. Relational databases has a lot of problem. Relational databases don't scale. These all statements are incorrect. Okay. In system design, I always said that there is nothing right or there is nothing wrong. It's just whether it is appropriate for my use case or not. Okay. And there are instances where the relational databases are going to help you, and there are instances where the NoSQL databases are going to help you. As a system design architect, okay, you need to make a judgment which will work best in your case. Okay. Now we are talking about the scalability perspective, right? Vertical scaling and the horizontal scaling. So what do you think will be work best for a relational databases? Just give any Vogue example. Is it right or wrong? Doesn't matter. Just try, because these are the type of question that you need to answer while selecting any of the things, right?
Like we can create master slave architecture,
Okay, so you can
master DB and slave DB.
create master and you can create multiple slave, right? And these are syncing with each other, right?
Yes.
Now all the writes are happening to master and the reads are going to slave and master both, right? Is this what you are supporting?
Yes.
Now, let's suppose all the write is still going on this master, right? All the writes are going on master. So let's suppose this is in size. Let's suppose this has become 10 TB, right? And now all the slaves will also have the 10 TB, right? Can this happen? Let's suppose the size is continuously growing in the master slave architecture. Okay, you are doing often writes, and the size on the master table has become 10 TB. So obviously, all the slave size will also be go to 10 TB, right? Yes or no?
Yes.
Now, whether you are launching your read to slave or a master, probably master is busy in handling writing, so probably you will allow the reads to go through the slaves if the slaves are updated with a correct update that the master has. So you will route the read request to the slave. So if the slave have this 10 TB of data, does the query going to respond within single digit milliseconds or not? Yes or no?
No, it will like take time.
It will take time, right? Yes or no? So the
Yes.
other option is to scale, right? The master and slave is not only for the scaling perspective, it is for the replication or persistence of the data. Persistence of the data is stored in all, and the data is replicated on these multiple servers, right? So master and slave is eventually used for the replication and making sure that even if master goes down, probably the slave can come into picture and can result in a high availability rather than high scalability, right? Now what will do for scalability?
We can use
Uh,
different partitions for on based on keys.
Okay, so we can create multiple partitions based upon key. This is one of the very good example. Okay. So let's suppose there are multiple master kind of thing, or ignore this master concept altogether here. Okay. You have multiple servers who is going to take the read and write both, and for the replication you have slave. So we'll not be considering slave or not drawing here, but let's take the example of how the write will happen. Let's suppose you said ki I'll keep 1 to 1000 here, 1001 to 2000 ID. Let's suppose I'm just taking the simple concept of the ID to understand it better. I'm using this kind of a thing, right? 2000 to 3000 on this. So let's suppose this has got 1 TB, this has got 1 TB, and this has got 1 TB of data, right? This kind of a thing. This kind of architecture.
Yes.
Now, definitely the read will be much faster, right? It will, when it will read from 1 TB compared to 10 TB, the reads will be much faster. But now let's take the example. Relational databases support a wide variety of queries, right? The query is count. Query is range query. That is extensively used, right? You need to find the student whose marks is less than this and greater than this, something like this, right? Now, for those cases, how you will fetch the data? How you will make sure that your query runs in that particular amount of time? Either you need to fire a query in multiple subsections. It will eventually go to all the servers. Okay, fetch the result, then combine this result at a central place and then return the result, right?
Yes.
What if you are firing multiple queries for one of the queries that came as the request, right? Now let's one of the servers didn't give the response in 2 seconds. Let's suppose one server gave the response in 1 second, another probably in 2 seconds, another in 3 seconds, right? So till the time response comes from the third 3-second server, you can't serve that request, right or wrong?
Right.
So ultimately you have got the result much before, but still you are forced to wait till 3 seconds, right? And if one of the server is not able to return in the stipulated time, probably this entire query won't work, right? So that's why the horizontal scaling is slightly difficult in the relational databases, because they support a range of query. Matlab range type of queries is supported, aggregation kind of queries are supported, right? So what is the other alternative?
we can use
Vertical scaling.
indexing.
We can use indexing, right? Okay. So
Yeah.
indexing on which of the fields we can use?
Like which is the frequent one on which we are querying data, like whatever is in the where clause.
Okay.
So we can create an index on
okay.
that.
So if we use index, right? So the problem with index also will be similar. Like here also, the student ID was one of the index only, right? Or the ID. So that's why because of this index, you have partitioned this data. So when you are saying you are using index, either this data will reside on a single server, okay, and it will be distributed on a multiple servers, right? Now, let's suppose based upon that index, we are somehow trying to optimize the data in a single server, and you have optimized the read on that particular index. Now, if the query will come on the other field, it won't work, right?
Yes.
And again, the next problem will be the indexes in a relational databases. How many indexes you can create a relational databases? Okay.
Two primary and
Depends, like sometimes the indexes like they don't pick the indexes.
Okay, so if you don't pick the index, probably they create a primary key kind of a structure that will act as the index, right? Probably you add some
Yes.
kind of a random ID. So
Yeah,
let's
the
suppose,
primary key.
yeah, the primary key, correct. Now let's suppose in this case we are adding the index. So do you understand ki with the index there is other problem that gets introduced? Let's talk about that problem. What is index?
Mm, Index is basically like a map kind of structure,
Yeah,
like if you see in a book,
yeah. So
the front
exactly,
page of the book.
the front page of the book acts as the index. Now you have index based upon the chapter. You have index based upon the page number, right? This
Right.
chapter and the concept you have indexed. Now let's suppose the query is on some other attribute, and if you create the index on that particular thing as well, this entire data will be restructured according to this as well.
So additional space, like space
Additional
and time
space,
each time.
and plus the
Mm,
problem will be the next time a write comes, right?
Then
And
it will
suppose
be
writing
restructured.
I am doing on this index, okay? So this data also needs to be updated, but this does not have any information of this index, right? So for updating this index, it will be a nightmare, right? For this, updation will be easier for this index because this is already indexed based upon that particular parameter. But updating the other index kind of thing will be a nightmare. So in relational databases, probably it's not suggested to have more than 2 or 3 indexes. Even the 3 indexes sometimes can result in a trouble. So theoretically, you can have multiple, but on a practical, you don't increase the index count from 2 to 3 on a structural SQL database. Now, what can be the other ways to scale this architecture? The first one that we studied, right? The vertical scaling. Earlier, let's suppose it was having, let's suppose 32 core. Now I'll make it 64 core, right? Earlier it was having, let's suppose 10 TB of space. We'll make it 20 TB of space. Can we do this?
But if time for the query will increase, right?
Okay. Time to the query will increase. Okay, I'll just give this example from this perspective. Let's suppose you have this system, okay? And this request is coming up, okay? Now, let's suppose this request was taking 1 second, okay? Now, you have scaled, and you are not receiving only a single request, you are receiving multiple requests. And these requests are getting served in a second, right? And let's suppose you have drastically improved your system, right? From let's suppose 32 core, you have added 64 core and something like that. You have enhanced the RAM, you have enhanced the memory, you have enhanced everything, right? So still, is the query going to take 1 second or it will take less than that time?
Yes.
Less than that time, right? And that's what often you realize while playing the games as well in your laptop, right? You often complain ki the RAM is not good, probably the graphics card is not good, and that's what the game is lagging. And when you will have a proper graphics card, high RAM, so probably the games will run much smoother, right? So the performance will increase, right? So if we scale it vertically, we'll add multiple cores in the system, we'll increase the RAM, we'll increase the storage, the performance is going to improve, right? Performance is going to improve. But what is the problem that we have seen with the vertical scaling? Sometimes or someday, some future day, let's suppose the problem started to result in a problem. It was resulting in a bottleneck. You have replaced this particular server with a higher capacity server, or you have added multiple layers in that particular server. Now, for few days, it will work perfectly fine. Now, after some days, it will hit the upper cap, right? And what is the upper cap in this case? You can't just
Limit of
randomly put the servers, right? Downtime and hardware limitation. Downtime and hardware limitation is definitely one of the key aspects. Hardware limitation, because you can't scale that after, right? Probably you can ask for 64 core, you can ask for 128 core and so on, right? But at one time, the service provider or the cloud provider will say, hey, I don't have a system who can support this kind of huge data. I don't have a machine like that. Probably you just partition your data. Okay, I can't support this kind of data. So probably someday you will hit the upper limit, and that's what is the problem with the vertical scaling. So vertical scaling has its own kind of a challenges. Now, SQL was working perfectly fine for a smaller data set. Okay, it can scale as well vertically. There are some ways in which we can scale it horizontally as well. Okay. Yeah. So where I was, sorry, I got lost. So this relational database is working well for the smaller data set. Okay? They can scale vertically, but it can reach the upper threshold. It can scale horizontally as well, but they won't be able to support the queries that they are intended to build for, right? Now, engineers started to realize that this is not a scalable solution. I'm not saying that relational databases are not scalable, but for few of the cases, they were saying this is not working for us. Let me design something else. Okay. So they have analyzed like what is the most frequent queries. So it was realized that most of the queries, okay. And there is one more problem with the relational database that also I'll take here, and then I'll go to the NoSQL. We were talking about a single database, right? Now there can be multiple tables, right? Earlier we were telling, let's suppose this is one table and you have multiple tables, right? So one of the things, just a second. So this is one table, this is another table, this is another table, right? So one of the approach is keep all the tables in a single machine, okay? Or the other approach is keep the tables in a different machine, right? From there, somehow you will just bypass the vertical limitations, right? The hardware limitations. For some days, you will be able to live with that, right? Probably some days, some months, some years. Now, what you did, this is table 1, okay? This is table 2, and this is table 3. Now these data are highly relational in nature, right? Because let's suppose this is a student, this is address, this is subject, and let's suppose there is some other XYZ related to a student attribute, right? And you have kept them out as different machines. Now, as these data, and this is a highly acceptable approach in the SQL design, right? You divide the data in multiple relational tables, right? A student is one kind of entity, address is different kind of entity, and subjects probably is a different kind of entity. So you divide them in multiple tables. Yes or no? Is this acceptable?
Yes.
So now if you want to run a query where I'll say, hey, find me list of a student, okay, with all the details like address, mobile number, and all, who have access or who have marks in physics between 50 to 100, something like this, right? Now the problem was this particular table needs to join with address table, this table needs to join with subject table, and if there is some other information that is required, it will join with another table. Okay, it will do the query on this subject, it will fetch this data as well. So the joins and other things, now joins in itself is a very costly operation, like because you are joining with multiple tables, and if you have distributed the tables in multiple other servers, it is going to still cost you a lot of things, right? Based upon the time, based upon the computation and the cost as well, right? So this was not getting a very highly scalable approach because this query were taking time, the joins were a very costly operation. So engineers tried to dig up this particular use case, and they realized that most of the queries, okay, are straightforward in nature, where you are just accessing a particular request, okay, and they want some kind of a single line response or something like that, right? There can be other type of queries, probably where for each of the queries they resulted in a multiple responses, but still that were the straightforward. And few of the 10% of the queries were type of the queries that require joins. Now 80 to 90% of the queries were straightforward in nature, and this 10% of the queries were who were requiring the joins and other things, right? But you need to cater to all kind of a requirement. So for that, you needed to adopt this particular kind of a design, because you can't live, right? You can't say, yeah, I'll just ignore this 10% for my case. I have designed from that perspective as well. Now people thought, okay, let's try to tackle this 90% of the cases first, and then we'll think about this 10% of the cases later on. Okay. So there is a database paradigm that started to happen, and engineers realized this particular thing, and they developed something called NoSQL databases. So NoSQL is not a structured query language. Okay. And people say that this is a non-relational databases. It is partially correct, because still they have the relationship, right? But they don't have the relationship in the joins, and they don't relate with multiple tables, right? But the data in itself can have the relationship as well. Okay, I'll share that meeting ID of the, just a second.